Well, you guys ask me all the time about ways that you can disciple your young children, and I want to tell you about something I found that I think you're going to love. I am always searching for curriculum that's theologically solid, rich in apologetics, and wait for it, easy to use. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about the Answers Bible curriculum for homeschool from my friends at Answers in Genesis. This amazing program covers the entire Bible in just 4 years, and it was created specifically for kindergartners through fifth graders to be taught at the same time, which is going to save you time and simplify your day. You guys are going to get quality that you expect from AIG, and it's deep, fun, packed with truth, and designed to equip your kids to defend the faith. If you're ready to try it, head on over to answersbiblecurriculum.com/Heidi and download a free lesson to get started. That's answersbiblecurriculum.com/Heidi. Hey, everybody, this is Heidi St. John. Welcome to the Heidi St. John podcast. Today is one of my favorite days of the show here because one of my favorite people happens to be with me. Dr. Mark Sherwood is here. He's going to be answering listener questions for you, and we've got a lot of them. Grab a cup of coffee or whatever floats your boat and stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Shout out to our sponsor, the Functional Medical Institute. I love those guys. Check them out at homeschoolhealth.com and be sure and use the coupon code Heidi for 20% off your entire purchase. Thank you guys for tuning in today. You know how much I love Dr. Mark Sherwood. We've been friends now for several years. I've had the privilege to get to know his wife, Michelle, and they have become an integral part of actually taking care of me and my health. And he has been such a blessing to you guys coming on here regularly, answering listener questions. We love those questions. You guys are going to love my friend, Dr. Mark. He's dealing hope today, as you can see if you're watching this on Rumble, and I hope that you are. Dr. Mark Sherwood's here wearing his Hope Dealer shirt. Hey, my friend, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you for those kind words, and I want people to know that it's a blessing for us to get to help them. When somebody really does well, that's the blessing we receive. So it goes both ways, so we're just grateful.
Well, it's an amazing thing that you're doing. And now you've come alongside and you're partnering with me. You guys have come on as the prime sponsors of the show, the Functional Medical Institute now doing that. You guys can find out more about Dr. Mark and Dr. Michelle and the amazing work that they're doing in Tulsa by going to homeschoolhealth.com. All right, let's jump in, Mark, because we have kind of limited time today and lots of questions. Emily in New Mexico is 41 years old. And she's a little bit hesitant about getting a mammogram, like a lot of women are these days, because of the radiation and the statistics of women who still get breast cancer despite getting regular mammograms. She says she doesn't have any history of breast cancer in her family, but what should she do to go about getting these scans in a natural and safe way? What are your thoughts on alternatives to mammogram? My first thought was thermography.
Yeah, thermography, Emily, is awesome. First of all, you want to do the self-examination, just palpate the breast and look for changes, anything that changes regarding knots or masses, densities, etc. That gives you information. And sometimes it could be just simple a gland that's getting backed up. But the thermography is the way to go. That looks for heat sources, so you're just going to stand in front of a real high-powered camera that's going to take a picture of you, and they're going to look for sources that are hot. Hot sources would be equivalent with inflammation. And so from your purposes, Emily, that'd be a great thing. Now, if you got a thermography and it showed inflammation in one or both breasts, or maybe a little asymmetrical inflammation, then you might look for further investigation. In that case, what I would do is go back and do another thermography a little bit later, a couple months or so, and confirm what you're seeing. So I'm not a mammogram fan myself. I mean, I get it. I understand it, and people do that. That's fine. Not because of the exposure to different, radiations or anything like that, although that's a concern, but because of the idea that the inaccuracy or the time they don't find things is a real deal. Studies have shown that even though we do typical these mammographies, the bottom line is we don't really stop the instances of breast cancer. It's not really a stoppage thing. It's sort of a potential, maybe, discovery thing. So I think you go back to just getting the thermography, and I think you're good.
Yep, I agree. And I had a thermogram a while ago. And actually, even at the thermography place, they're like, listen, we start here. And then if we're concerned, then they may send you for an ultrasound, right? Or they may say, go ahead and get a mammogram. But I think, starting with thermography is such a good idea. But there's so many great outcomes from that now. Shannon in Texas, she says she's got a teenage son who from the time he was a toddler has always had clammy, moist hands. But he's not sweaty otherwise unless he's working out. Do you have any insight as to why this is or how it can be corrected? He's very fit. He's healthy. He's 17 years old, never been vaccinated, and has no major illnesses.
Yeah, Shannon, this might be something that's nothing. And I say that just with all intentionality. Some people sweat more than others, right? And so just know that that's okay. Keep him hydrated a little bit and probably don't worry about it too much. Now, if he starts emitting some, well, let's call it non-young male odors or something like that, then you might look into it a little further. But for your case, honestly, some people just sweat a lot. Some people don't. And I think I wouldn't make a big deal out of it because right now it sounds like it's just his hands. And, it's okay. I think keep him working out, keep him exercising, keep him well hydrated, and it should be fine.
I love that. Anonymous in Texas, Dr. Mark, Heidi keeps calling you the hope dealer. I hope you guys are watching this on Rumble today because Mark's wearing an awesome I need one of those shirts, Mark.
I'll send you one.
Yeah, I need one. She says she needs some hope today. She's 30 years old and she's morbidly obese due to a binge eating disorder. I feel pretty hopeless that I'm always going to be fighting this beast and not free in my own body. I have PCOS, if that is relevant. If there's anything you can suggest, I would appreciate it. Signed, Hopeless in Texas.
Okay, so let me just make you unanonymous right now. You are never hopeless there, young lady. You're always full of hope. In other words, your name is now hopeful. So I want you to identifying yourself with I am hopeful. PCOS is not a death sentence at all. There is a stigma that's been put on that, which is equated to weight gain, having trouble getting pregnant, et cetera, hirsutism. But I'll spin it around and say, you know what? You look at the history of PCOS is actually women who could create more muscle longer. They could work longer. They were actually the ones that were chosen more often. Many of the female Olympic athletes are PCOS. There is hope, a lot of hope for you. And so I want you to start out with just basically changing one meal a day and realizing that you're valuable. With binge eating disorders, there's typically some times you've been wounded or times you've been hurt and you carry that forward, and that comfort is, if you will, as a food, but that food's become a drug. Realize you fell for a trap. And I encourage you to start making one change a day as follows. Start with one meal a day. You might try with some Kingdom Fuel. Just one meal a day. Just have a shake. Then you might snack with a Kingdom Candy bar, for example. I know those because I had one today. And then you might put on your tennis shoes. You might walk to your mailbox and back twice. Those are celebratory things. And that gets you hopeful. There is answers. And by the way, I don't know who you are, but I know you're hopeful. If you want to reach out to us and let us work with you, we'd be happy to. And we'd be honored to work with you to help you out of this pit you're in and get you back to some palace work, if you get my drift. Some peace. You need your peace.
I love that. Ashley in Alabama, her husband got her a red light therapy mask for Mother's Day, and she thinks it's making her sunspots and damage more visible. Do you have any suggestions before she tells him to send it packing?
Well, honestly, when you look at the red light therapy, at 600 to 800 is kind of where your sweet spot is. It is said to help with skin damage. But there are cases where it can agitate existing skin damage. So my advice for you would be to get some kind of a cream, such as a peptide cream. And I think, Heidi, you know what I'm talking about. Using the GHK copper cream, it's called Kingdom Skin. It's one of Heidi's favorites, but I'm not saying it because it's just our product. But it does work. And so I would suggest, say, put it on twice a day. And backing off the red light therapy frequency, I don't know how much you're doing it, but I would not be doing it every day at this point. Maybe 1 every 3 days, maybe for no more than 5 or 10 minutes. And get your system skin healed, then work on rejuvenation with the red light, and you probably can get the best of both worlds.
I think you're right. I mean, I've got a red light therapy mask. I absolutely love it. And I use mine like maybe twice a week.
Yes, you don't need things at all. That can create a little bit of damage in some sensitive skins.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Anonymous in South Carolina is 3 months postpartum, and she's been experiencing a lot of gas and bloating since her baby was born. Is there anything she can do to help this? When should she see a doctor?
Well, I think when you look at the gas and bloating, sort of go back and correlate that with the types of food you ate and start taking an informal journal. You don't need to see a doctor for common sense. Remember that, right? So start taking a journal with some foods you may have ate and see if you can find the types of foods that precede the gas and bloating. Secondarily, start taking some digestive enzymes with every meal. It's not going to hurt you. It might help you. Typically, I see with the gas and bloating, it's tied to dairy many times, so look for that. Sometimes it's also tied to the breads and grains, namely the gluten. So those would be two areas of investigation you might want to look in, but keep doing that over time. And then certainly you might want to even test. You might want to do like a dietary antigen test to find out what's agitating the gut, because sometimes you can find that needle in the haystack by just asking the right questions. I don't know if I would recommend you just go to a general old PCP, because they're not going to be able to do those type of tests, and they won't do that for you. Therefore, you're kind of stuck, and all they have in their repertoire is probably a proton pump inhibitor, like some omeprazole or something like that, and or antibiotics. And I don't know that those are accurate things that you need right now. And maybe at some point, I'm not bashing them, but I think there's other things you can do is what I talked about.
Yeah. And if you guys want to get connected, because you guys can do that dietary antigen test as well, homeschoolhealth.com, you guys check it out. And we've done that, right? We've done the dietary antigen tests on several of our kids. It's just so insightful, really, really good information. You guys know how passionate I am to see parents discipling their children in the Bible. And while it doesn't have to be complicated, it does have to be intentional. That's why I'm excited to introduce you guys to the Illuminate Bible series from my friends at Lifestone Ministries. This is a Bible curriculum that's designed to grow with your child from first grade all the way through high school. So whether your child is just starting to read or asking deeper questions about faith and culture, Illuminate meets them right where they are and helps them build a lasting relationship with Jesus. Each week, you'll walk through a simple 5-step approach. You'll look at a Bible story, check out the context around it, see how it connects to the rest of Scripture, study the theology behind it, and find out what it means for real life. It's designed for families, so you don't need 5 different books for 5 different kids. You can go through it together using workbooks tailored to the ages of your kids. So if you've been looking for a way to disciple your kids without adding more stress to your day, this is it. For more information, visit lifestoneministries.com/Heidi to learn more about this amazing homeschooling tool. Elisa in Canada recently turned 45, and she's noticing many of the perimenopausal symptoms that you and I have discussed before. She says, one, I'm not sure that has been asked, are the changes around this age related to vision and seeing things up close and needing reading glasses? Is this a symptom of perimenopause? Is there anything I can do to help reverse the vision decline? I mean, I'm going to say no.
Elisa, I tell you, there is hope, my friend. Oh, Canada. There you go. Well, ultimately, Elisa, yes, you're in the perimenopausal phase. And when you have that phase happening, the first 2 hormones you see that kind of plummet are going to be progesterone, which can affect sleep, and then testosterone kind of affects energy level and things like that. And then estrogens kind of start fluctuating. When estrogen gets more fluctuating and starts dipping lower, sometimes you can have some bone pain, vision problems. Sometimes the vision problems are tied to even moisturization of the eyes. So you want to kind of think about this idea of what you can do about it. Now I'm going to share something, a little insight with you. If you look down the pathway, and you can study this, peptide bioregulator. Peptide bioregulator. You're going to study a peptide bioregulator that's called retina. And you can take that. It's an oral capsule you can take probably 10 days, a month, take off 20. But that has been shown clinically to help with vision improvement. How about that? The second thing I'll have you do is look at getting some blue blocker glasses. Blue blocker glasses, they kind of look cool. They kind of look like this right here. I suggest not getting this style, but you can get style that fits you.
You know what? I also suggest not getting that style. I mean, I love you, but I also suggest not.
I think I look like Bono, actually.
You do. Yeah, I think Bono's got nothing on you. So
I know.
yeah. No, I agree. Also, I mean, this is just my little personal take on this, but when I was in my 40s, for sure, it might have been my early 40s, and I had like 75,000 pairs of reading glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to, my eye doctor, and I was like, listen, I literally, Mark, I don't know if this is normal, but I woke up one morning and I was like, whoa, I was having a hard time just reading my book in front of me. And so I went to the eye doctor, and they were like, this is kind of how it goes down. You kind of wake up one morning, you're like, whoa, I need reading glasses. And that's exactly what they ended up doing. I ended up with LASIK,
Yes.
which was absolutely game changing for me. And then I developed cataracts later. There's a history of vision problems in my family, but I ended up with lens replacements several years ago. Did I ever tell you that, Mark?
No, at first I've heard this. Oh,
yeah, I have Protonics lenses now in both my eyes.
Wow.
It's true. It's a
know that.
true story. And I don't need reading glasses anymore either. So amazing. It was completely amazing. So, I started I'm driving at night, Mark, and the headlights of the cars that were coming at me would flare out. And it was because I was developing cataracts. So anyway, all that to say, getting older is not for sissies.
There's a good eye supplement out there I should mention too. It's called,
what is it?
OcuForce Blue. OcuForce, then the name Blue. It's pretty good.
All right. OcuForce Blue.
Natural things in it, luteolin, zeaxanthin, things like that.
I love that. I should do that. Sylvia in Texas. She says she's going from Texas to Quito in Ecuador. And how can she prepare herself for the elevation? She says, I do work out Monday through Friday. I have Achilles tendonitis. What supplements can I take for pain? I'm currently doing shock wave therapy.
Okay, there's a bunch of things you can do. First of all, I want you to have a great trip. That's the most important thing. But secondly, there's a lot of things you can do. I'm a big fan of peptide therapy. Peptides are amazing in the sense that they can create healing of tissues and joints. There are two I want you to look at, BPC 157 and thymosin beta 4. Now, thymosin beta 4 is spelled THYMOSIN, beta, BETA, number 4. Those respectively do the following. BPC will guide the repair of tissues, joints, skin, muscles, etc. It also has a great protective mechanism for the vascular system of the body. Thymosin beta 4 directs the healing process to occur within all aspects of tissues and even nerves. So those two combined are like dual rock stars. So you might look at those as well. Make sure additionally you use your vitamin D, omega-3s, your multi. Have those handy. Don't miss those things because remember the D is going to regulate the calcium absorption. Calcium absorption helps get put in the bones. The stronger the bones are, the better you can heal up, which is a good thing. So those are a couple of things you can do. And que tenga buen día en tu viaje.
Have a good trip.
That's it.
That's it. So if she wants BPC 157 and thymosin beta 4, where does she get those? Does she get them on the internet? What does she do?
She reaches out to us. You're Oklahoma. Yes, there's life above the border from Texas, right? So you reach out to your friends in Oklahoma because we are your friends. We're just separated by a river. And you will be glad you did. We'll help you out.
I love that. Kara in Ohio says, hi, I hear you're a hope dealer. I'm hoping you can deal me some. My mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's years ago. She had the deep brain stimulation surgery. I'm wondering if there's any hope for a Parkinson's patient. Could there be any vitamins she's deficient that could ease her symptoms? I know there is no cure, but easing her symptoms could be a win. She also has what do you say this? How do you say this, Mark? Dyskinesia? I don't know what that...
Dyskinesia.
Dyskinesia. I've never heard... What is that?
Well, basically, when you get these brain disorders, you get disconnected with memory and spaces and time and all this stuff. So,
is that part of Parkinson's?
Not normally, but
that seems like an add-on.
Yeah, it's almost like an add-on, issue that she's got to deal with. But with your dad, there is some hope, right? And this is what I want you to consider. I want you to consider inhalation hydrogen therapy. Inhalation hydrogen therapy. So you're going to breathe gas. Now what that looks like is you're going to get yourself a little cannula like this, And I've got one because I do it like almost every day. And you're going to put the cannula on your dad like this. It's like this. And you're going to run it up his nose right this. And that's it. And then you're going to plug this other end to your very own hydrogen machine. And you're going to breathe gas. And that will go into the brain, and it will relieve all brain inflammation. So hydrogen penetrates the mitochondria, turns the free radicals that are going on in the Parkinsonian situation, turns them into water, reduces the brain inflammation. Pretty foolproof process, okay? And then secondly, I'll take off my little mask right now. And then secondly, you want to look at gut health. There's a lot of data out recently that indicates that the potential cause of Parkinson's is from gut health. Go figure. So you got to work on bringing in the anti-inflammatory foods, pulling out the things that are inflammatory, working on gut health, and then also look at high-dose omega-3 fatty acids. Big deal to turn down the flame in the brain. If you have an IV therapy place near you, you can also find that glutathione IV can also help with some of the Parkinson's. We've seen that work very well and tone down the movement patterns a lot. So those are some things, like 4 of those things that you should be able to do relatively easy in your area. If you want to reach out to us, of course, we can connect you with a supplier of a hydrogen machine. We've got 2 in the clinic here. I've got 1 at home. We use those all the time.
What is she looking at for cost on it? Because I would imagine it's a bit of an investment.
Yeah, this is what we've done, full disclosure. So we've actually given those to people. And so I buy them at my cost. They're about $1,950. So they're not like horrible. Mm-hmm. They retail for over $3,000, but we pass them on to everybody. I make no bones about that. We just buy it and they can reimburse the clinic.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I mean, you and I have been talking about hydrogen therapy now for a long time, right? I drink hydrogen water almost every single day. You do. I take it on the plane with me. Yeah, it's so important. So I love that. Christine in Washington says, Dr. Mark, do you have any suggestions for how to get rid of toenail fungus? She had her toenails painted last summer, and when she took off the polish a few weeks later, she noticed discoloration on her big toes on both feet. And now she's been on this for 9 months. She's tried tea tree oil, fungal nail renewal. She uses collagen almost every day. It's embarrassing. What should she do?
Well, Christina, I guess when we see that yellow thickening of the toes, we immediately think fungus, and I get that, right? But let's also make sure that we don't have any massive amounts of candida as well, because that's always a big trigger as well. You want to get those things shaved off and keep them trimmed, because the more the thick nail gets there, the more it sort of gets infected a little bit. There is a medication out there, but it's one that's pretty rough on the gut, so I'm not one to lean towards that one. Try some coconut oil. Coconut oil has a little bit of antimicrobial, antibacterial effects, and I've seen people have some pretty decent effects with the coconut oil, so try that next time.
All right. That's a great suggestion. I want to take a moment to say thank you to our sponsor today. Today's show is being sponsored in part by my friends at Give, Send, Go. And it's a pretty amazing partnership because months ago, before I received my medical diagnosis, we had been hoping to partner with this amazing company. And I had no idea that I was going to be on the receiving end of a Give, Send, Go campaign. But I can tell you it's been an incredible blessing for me. And I love what these guys are doing. They are really crowdfunding with a gospel message and sharing the light of Christ and helping us fulfill the mandate in Galatians 6:2, where we are really commanded to bear one another's burdens and in so doing fulfill the law of Christ. One of the things that's awesome about Give, Send, Go is that they have a prayer team that you can join and pray for the campaigns that you see online. So even if you can't give right now, you can pray. There is power in your prayers, and I love what the Lord is doing through the platform at Give, Send, Go. Check them out at givesendgo.com. Anonymous in Arkansas says, we talked about testosterone on the last podcast, and her husband took a few of the shots from a doctor's office. Then he got concerned because he wonders if it's safe. Nothing bad happened. She said, just wondering if it's safe. You said testosterone was good. Can that be the shots for men and pills for women, or are you only speaking of topical testosterone?
Really, there's a lot of deliveries of testosterone, from pills to injections to creams to implants. There's all kinds of ways. There's even little troches, they're called, dissolvable, almost wafer-like substance you put in your mouth. But testosterone, if done correctly, is safe. it is protective towards brain, bone, and heart. It has a powerful effect on obviously building and maintaining muscle and sort of keeping the fat tissue off, thereby reducing inflammation. So it is safe. Studies have shown that people that do have adequate levels of hormones later in life live longer. I can show that people's immune systems work better when having adequacy of hormones. So safety is key. It is true. Now, however, if not done in a way that is, in our opinion, the way it should be, and this is what I would say, someone goes down to XYZ spa, gets a bunch of testosterone, starts running that number up there, they feel better, but nobody ever checks their vascular markers, such as their blood pressure, such as their heart markers. And they just go along there and they're actually getting worse. So I've seen it in two different contexts. So under proper guidance and supervision, super safe for both men and women. But I've seen it disastrous sometimes when people didn't, sort of look at the big picture.
When you say you've seen a disaster, what happens when it's not done correctly?
Well, for example, let's say a patient named John goes down and his testosterone is always in his 50s. So he goes down to the local spa and they run a hormone check and it's 300. So John gets on injectable hormones. Feeling better. Nobody ever checked his heart markers. Nobody ever checked his blood pressure. They certainly didn't check about diabetes or insulin resistant. And John gets bigger and bigger and bigger because nobody told him. So he goes back to the doctor again and says, "Doctor, I'm not feeling it, man." But of course, John's getting bigger. The doctor says, "Well, let's just give you more." So they'll give John more, and the beat starts over again. So before you know it, John's blood gets so thick with heart markers that are so gunked up, John ends up having a stroke. Not cool. And so that's a disaster waiting to happen. Remember that hormones play one part of a multi-instrument symphony that's the human experience. It needs to flow. It needs to be in harmony. It needs to be in tune. They're very important, but they will never override a bad diet. You can't override bad diets with anything, not even prayer, It's choices we make. So you can do it right or you can do it wrong. We prefer, and we've seen big benefits in doing it right.
Yep, I agree. One more question today, and it comes from me, from yours truly.
Yay, okay.
So I have a question. I have been offered, and I think I'm going to take him up on it, a woman who's been following my journey here and listening to you and I for a long time. And she and her husband own a company not too far from here, and they have hyperbaric chambers. And so she's like, "Listen, after your surgery, come in," and it's been proven to kind of help speed up healing with tissue healing and all that kind of stuff. And she sent me information on it. And I was like, I'm going to ask my friend Dr. Mark. So I'm actually kind of excited about it as I'm reading about hyperbaric chambers. Can you tell, because I get questions about that every once in a while. My nephew Bobby, after his brain injury, he did a hyperbaric chamber for kind of a long time. What is the benefit? What does it do?
Hyperbaric chamber does promote healing of tissues and joints and injuries. Athletes have used them for a long, long time. Highly recommend it for you. Highly recommend it for anybody else, just as a recovery thing. The only question you have with hyperbaric chambers is maintenance use. How much is maintenance? Because you get too much oxygen, right? So I'm one that uses a combination. I use hyperbaric chambers for healing and very periodic use, maybe once a month, twice a month, things like that. And then I also am a big proponent of inhalation gas of hydrogen, because if you look at the two gases, the machine I'm talking about, by the way, you can inhale oxygen or hydrogen, but the hydrogen penetrates the mitochondria where oxygen is too big.
Got it.
Too much oxygen could conceivably create too much oxidative stress. So a combination of hydrogen and oxygen as maintenance is best, but for healing, the hyperbaric oxygen is perfect.
That's what I was wondering. She was like, they're going to let me go 10 times for free, so I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, you should do it.
About it. Yeah, I should do it, you say. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Dealing some hope. Dr. Mark, I know you're on a tight schedule today, so I want to make sure that you get off the call in time to get to your next thing. So thankful for you guys and for just the blessing that you are to people that listen to this show, and obviously to me personally. If people are interested in finding out more about you, we've said it before, but I want to keep saying it till people hear it in their sleep. Where can they find you?
They can go to homeschoolhealth.com. We set that up, and honest to goodness, we have a webinar once every month on the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. And I just really want to thank you, because we have a lot of people from this audience right here that have attended that free webinar and scheduled appointments, and it's a joy to see, because you do such a great job, Heidi. We're solidly behind you, and our involvement in this community is a blessing to us, and we're just thankful. And I think we're expanding this idea of hope, with each of us, what we all do together. And when you put two people and two entities that deal hope together, you got hope squared, man. Hope.
Come on.
So I think that's where we are. So yeah, that's once a month there, and it's homeschoolhealth.com.
Homeschoolhealth.com. Dr. Mark Sherwood, you are a hope dealer. I know you've been dealing hope today, and I can't wait to see what God continues to do. He's growing what you're doing. And it's so amazing, because I think we've reached a point, I've talked about this a whole lot, where people don't trust the medical community anymore. And I think you're kind of helping to infuse that hope back into people to say, hey, don't give up. There is hope out there, and God's given us lots of tools for healing. And you guys are great at helping people figure out what tools are going to work best for them. So I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure and an honor.
All right, you guys, I know you love my friend, Dr. Mark Sherwood. I can see it in your questions. He's going to come back on. We had a whole bunch more we couldn't get to today. But like I said, Dr. Mark's on a time today, so we wanted to get to as many as we could. If you have questions that you would like addressed here at the show, the way to do that is to reach out to us directly, HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. That's HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. And we'll get to those just as soon as we can. We've talked about for the next little bit of time while I'm down and not in the studio, possibly sending out some answers to those questions via email. That's one way that we can continue to do that even when I'm not in the studio. And so get those questions to us, and then make sure that you're signed up for my email list. All right. So that's going to continue to go out once a week. And I don't know, Dr. Mark, maybe we can just put a question in there every single week. So when that goes out, we're still answering those questions. So that's the way to do that. You guys, HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. If you want to reach out to the Sherwoods directly, Doctors Mark and Michelle Sherwood at the Functional Medical Institute, simply go to homeschoolhealth.com. That's where you can find the hydrogen water bottle, the copper peptide cream that I love so much. All of my favorite things are listed there. Yep. And also Kingdom Fuel, which you guys saw. I just did a reel on that a couple of weeks ago. I take that on my trips with me. So lots of great stuff there. It's good for you, and you're supporting wonderful people who love the Lord. So I hope you guys will take advantage of that. Homeschoolhealth.com. Listen, we love you guys. Thanks for your continued prayers for my family and for this ministry. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll keep you posted. So get up on that newsletter and reach out to us directly, HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. We love you guys. Thank you for listening, for sharing this podcast, for giving it a 5-star review and sharing it on your social media. We can't thank you enough. I'll see you right back here again at the intersection of faith and culture. Parents of teens, listen, we got it, because I have found an awesome Bible discipleship program that I think you're going to love. If you want your teens to own their faith instead of just regurgitating Bible facts, you need to know about RVL Discipleship, the curriculum. It's a powerful new curriculum that's been designed for homeschooled teens from our friends at Focus on the Family. Each lesson is taught by awesome Bible teacher Ray Vanderlyn. His semester-long course takes teens beyond fill-in-the-blank lessons to real-life application, helping them live out their faith with boldness and purpose. RVL curriculum is flexible, parent-friendly, and deeply engaging because it's been designed to spark real conversations about faith between you and your teens. Right now, you guys can get 2 free sample lessons at RVLcurriculum/HSJ, plus 10% off when you purchase the curriculum with code Heidi10. You guys, discipleship matters. Let's raise our kids to become lifelong disciples of Jesus. Go to rvlcurriculum.com/HSJ today.